Hello, everybody. Welcome into our Kroger Kickoff. We're still live at our Go for 2 and 22 tailgate, getting ready for the kickoff. That's why we call it the show that way, between Georgia and LSU for the SEC Championship coming up in just a couple of moments. Before we get there, we want to do everything we can to get you ready for today's game, including keeping our eye on the Big 12 title game, which obviously has playoff implications. By now, you know USC lost last night, opening up the spot, what we believe is for Ohio State, make the college football playoff, and now you're left to wonder about seeding for the four teams likely in between the Buckeyes and TCU and, of course, Georgia and Michigan, and maybe faint playoff hope still alive for Alabama as well if TCU were to lose by, I think what the conventional wisdom is, by a wide margin. That might open the door for the Crimson Tide. So we're watching this Big 12 title game closely. It's actually on here on one of the big screens at our Dog Nation Go for 2 and 22 kickoff tailgate event. So now 21-17. Kansas State still leading, but the Horned Frogs just scoring to narrow that gap here a bit. We'll keep our eyes on that. And we want to do everything we can to get you ready, as we said, for Georgia and LSU coming up. This being our Kroger Kickoff. First of all, quick shout out to our friends at Kroger who have made so much of our football coverage possible all season long, including our Kroger Kickoff the 12 previous times here this year. And on Game 13, we'll start it off the way we always do by saying thanks to our friends at Kroger for making it so much fun on game days for us. And by the way, this month, in addition to all the football, you've also got the holiday stuff going on there as well. And one of the great holiday events you can do with your family is Kroger Chef Jr. If you've never done this, it's a guided kids cooking experience where you and your children get a chance to be a part of some food preparation. It's fun, and it teaches your kids about how things work in the kitchen, and also gets them engaged with some delicious and oftentimes nutritional foods. And this year for the holiday season, as you might imagine, it's a little bit holiday themed. So a couple of times this month, one more time before the month is done, you and your family can actually make some holiday brownies together with our friends at Kroger. So it's $7 per child. It's a guided kid cooking experience. You make the holiday brownies this month, but you also get some really cool paraphernalia to go along with it, like an apron and patch and a chef's hat and some things like that. So please check out the website, KrogerChefJr.com. That's the word junior spelled out, Junior, KrogerChefJr.com, to learn more about Kroger Chef Jr. and to be a part of that with your kids and your entire family here during this holiday season. Okay, yesterday, many of you are aware, we were in downtown Atlanta. We did Dog Nation Daily Live from just outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We were there to provide you some special video coverage leading into kickoff between Georgia and LSU. And one of those opportunities for us was a chance to have a conversation with SEC Network analyst Roman Harper. And I want to share some of that with you to kind of kick off our show here right now, because Harper was very candid on a couple of topics. First of all, you asked him about the motivation for Georgia here today. We were doing a video show a little earlier, and I sort of said it like this, that really when it comes down to it, there are probably only two issues that matter. That's not Go for 2 and 22. That's the two issues that matter. You know, Jaden Daniels' health, the LSU quarterback, we'll get to that coming up in a moment, and what Georgia's level of motivation is, knowing that it's already probably punched a ticket to the college football playoff, and yet it hasn't won the SEC yet since 2017. You've got those two ideas that are kind of simultaneously existing here. So for Harper, who knows the SEC very well, I'll ask him in a moment what that means for Georgia and just how badly they do want this here today. But before that, a very interesting level of evaluation from Harper on Georgia linebacker Jamon Dumas-Johnson. And Harper gives Jamon Dumas-Johnson really the ultimate compliment and goes on to give a lot of compliments to the Georgia program there as well. So the Georgia defense continues to make a name for itself, replacing so many great guys from a year ago, 5 first-round picks, the Butkus Award winner Nakobe Dean, and so far here in 2022, we have not seen that group really skip much of a beat, including from the perspective of Roman Harper, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, who's running things the linebacker spot right now. He actually sees things in Jamon Dumas-Johnson's game that maybe already exceeds what Georgia was getting from Nakobe Dean. It's a surprising take, but it's interesting from Roman Harper, so enjoy that right now as a part of our Kroger Kickoff.
I think he's actually, and I'll say it in front of everybody, he's better than Nakobe Dean, and not just, and as far as an NFL prospect, he's bigger. The dude has just as much speed, and if you watch this guy, he's flying around sideline to sideline, making every single play. And I love Nakobe Dean, and I say this with all due respect, he's just better. He's bigger, he makes more plays, and he's an outstanding NFL prospect in due time. But right now, those are the things that really just jump off the tape to me. And they also got a couple young guys up front that have continued to play and have gotten better over the season. And so Georgia's defense, what am I going to say? Like Kirby talks about it. You hear him in the locker room. Physical football travels. And when you watch Georgia play, they hit people with body shots, and they don't want to see Georgia in the fourth quarter because the way they play and the way they hit you, and it's a constant wave, and it's a never-ending wave of just relentlessness, the way they play physical football, the way they're able to take away what you like to do. They're smart, they're physical, and they're tough, and that's the type of brand of football that I love. And that, if my son was of age right now, I would send him to Georgia because, I know what he's going to get, and I know what they're teaching him, and those are the things that matters, and that's what wins.
Georgia's saying all the right.
I say that, but Alabama too now. It's still his decision, but sorry.
Georgia's saying all the right things about its motivation level, but can you truly be motivated for a game that you might not have to win, probably don't have to win to make the college football playoff?
Most of these guys on this team haven't won an SEC championship, so they are motivated. It's still something about accomplishing something you've never done before. And if I'm Kirby, I'm telling them, sometimes to do something that you've never done before, which is winning a back-to-back national championship, which has never been done before in Georgia, then you got to do something you've never done before, which is winning the SEC championship. So that is what they got to do, and that is what I'm telling them to do. If I'm Kirby, I'm not Kirby, but I'd give him that little layup right there. Do something you've never done before. You got to do something you've never done before, and that is what winning this game will do.
As a defensive
Not only that, but then they get the home game again in the playoffs. It's all the motivation in the world. Just the road to the championship comes through us in Georgia, and that has not been said before, so let's go out there and do it.
So I think a lot of Georgia fans have been waiting a long time to hear an Alabama guy like Roman Harper saying those nice things about Georgia, and certainly very interesting to hear that about Jamon Dumas-Johnson and how he perceives him compared to Nakobe Dean. Listen, I love Pop as much as anybody. I don't know that I'm quite ready to go there yet in terms of what Nakobe Dean provided this team a year ago. I do know that Jamon Dumas-Johnson's, of course, a finalist of the Butkus Award. That's the award that Dean won a year ago. And maybe by next year, maybe you're getting a Dean or a Roquan Smith level season from JDJ. I think he's given you a lot here this year. But maybe what Roman Harper says ends up being somewhat prophetic, and that's exactly the kinds of big plays that someone like Dumas-Johnson can make for you in the postseason here. Because if Georgia is going to continue in this run, as we've been saying now, to go for 2-22, obviously getting those huge plays defensively is going to be a big part of that, and guys like Jamon Dumas-Johnson are going to have their chance on that. We're happy to have you with us from the Kroger Kickoff. I'm live here at our Go for 2-22 kickoff tailgate. We've had a great time here all day long here today. What might not be quite so fun, though, for the folks on the other side for LSU, that's worried about the status of their quarterback, Jaden Daniels. In fact, let's kind of roll into a Durham Law Group injury report and talk more about that right now. Once again, with Roman Harper, I had a chance to ask him. I think we know that Daniels is likely to play. Brian Kelly, the LSU coach, told us that earlier this week. I think those of us are left to assume, though, that if there's been this much smoke about his injury situation, going back to the fact that he left the game against Texas A&M last week, if there's been this much chatter about it, then there is a very good chance he may be on the field, but something less than 100%. So I asked Harper directly, okay, well, what does that mean then? How healthy does Daniels have to be to give LSU any chance in this game? You'll hear that exchange right now as a part of our Durham Law Group injury report. From a percentage standpoint, how healthy does Jaden Daniels have to be to give LSU a chance to keep this close?
Everybody has their own things. Kawhi Leonard seems like a guy he's got to be 100% to play. I'm not here to say like Roman Harper, I might be at 70. I don't know. But for Jaden Daniels, it's going to be he has to be effective running the football. And not when like a run play is called, but it's a pass play called, and then he scrambles for 30. That's when LSU really gets it going, and that's when they're the most dangerous because he gets 30 after that. The next he throws the ball better. But if he's not running the football from the pocket or a pass play called, that's when he kind of struggles. And at the end of the day, I've said this all week, is that it doesn't matter how elite an athlete you are at quarterback. When you have to win games, big games have to be won as a quarterback from throwing and completing passes in the pocket. So if he's not doing that at a consistent level, they have no chance. So understanding that, and Georgia's strength of their defense is the back seven. So he's going to have to do it in tight windows, but he's got the receivers to do it. So he has to complete passes from the pocket, and when he doesn't see it, he needs to pick up chunk plays with his legs.
So good stuff there from Roman Harper talking about what it means for Daniels. And I thought his point about that need to, even if you're a running quarterback, and obviously even when 100% healthy, Daniels is incredibly dynamic with his legs, there is still that requirement to stand there in the pocket and deliver the football, and ultimately any chance for LSU today may ultimately come down to that, whether he's throwing on a fully healthy ankle or something less than that. Pretty good evaluation there from the SEC Network's own Roman Harper. And that is our Durham Law Group injury report. And obviously, we're talking about Jaden Daniels' injury, but it's your own injury you might be concerned about. Maybe you've been hurt at work or injured in an automobile accident. And if you have been, well, you want to be made right. You want what's coming to you. You want what's fair for you. And that's where our friends at the Durham Law Group can step in and offer you plenty of help. They don't just practice personal injury law, they define it. That means no fees, no expenses, unless you win. That's the promise they're able to make to you. So my invitation is to reach out to them here today. You can find them online at georgiahurt.com. That's the word Georgia spelled out, georgiahurt.com. You can also give them a call, 844-4GA-HURT. That's 844-4GA-HURT. It's great to have you with us as part of our Kroger Kickoff today. This is normally the portion of our show when we catch up with Atlanta News First meteorologist Ella Dorsey. We had a little bit different schedule on Dog Nation Daily on Friday, so our normal interview with Ella wasn't able to take place. But I did have a chance to chat with her, and her prediction kind of turned out to be true. That earlier today we were all kind of cowering underneath these tents and trying to stay dry. It was raining for a good bit. But I tell you, the last few minutes, last couple of hours, the sun's not exactly shining. It's not, Royal Caribbean cruise type weather right now, but it is nonetheless dry enough, and people are having a good time. You got the cornhole going, you got the food going, the beverages going, everybody's walking around, heads uncovered, and enjoying themselves. So all in all, we've ended up kind of dodging most of the weather today. And by the way, when we go inside for the game, right over here to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that roof will be closed, and it'll be pristine condition. So we'll make that our R.S. Andrews weather report. And, of course, R.S. Andrews is the one you turn to no matter how the weather is. Warm weather, cold weather, whatever else. In the summertime, they get you going for the air conditioning. And as we head towards this upcoming winter, then get that heating system tuned back up to factory fresh specs as well. So reach out, find them online, rsandrews.com. We say it this way, story after story, they've been delivering smiles, and they can deliver a smile for you too. But you got to find them online at rsandrews.com for any of your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, or electric needs. Thank you so much for being with us on our Kroger Kickoff today. Fun to do this with you now for a 13th time, with the hope that we'll still get to do it twice more before this season is done. So you know the drill by now. Stay close to Dog Nation throughout the day. Mike Griffith, Connor Riley inside the stadium. They'll be writing at dognation.com. Jeff Sintel down on the field. Snapshots and photos and behind the scenes look at what's happening down there from that field surface level. And then after the game, I'll be back with you for our Dog Nation postgame show presented by the UGA Bookstore. We'll be on that field. And we know the story here for SEC championship games in the past. Some of those haven't exactly gone too well. We think this one is going to be different. We think Georgia's bringing it home. 13-0 SEC champs. That's what we think we're talking about. And then getting ready for the college football playoff that comes up after that. So y'all have a great day. Enjoy the game. And we'll see when it's all said and done as a part of our Dog Nation postgame show presented by the UGA Bookstore. But for now, thanks for being with us as a part of the Kroger Kickoff.